All right, welcome everyone. We are live here on Facebook with our Trenton Talks show. So on behalf of Trenton Board of Education, I welcome you to our Trenton radio broadcast on Trenton Talks. We want to thank our sponsors from WIMG 1300 AM and WPHY Verizon Channel 28. Our host, Gerald Trueheart, will be with us momentarily. He serves as a board member of Trenton Board of Education, and he's also the chair of the Family and Community Engagement School Support Committee. He also serves alongside with Board President Addie Daniels Lane and board committee members Denise Johnson and Yolanda Marrero Lopez and Tehran Tice. He also serves as the chair of the board policy committee as a member of the Human Resources and Facility Buildings and Grounds Committee. My name is Denise Crease, and I am the co-host, and I am the parent coordinator and homeless liaison for Trenton Public Schools. Alongside us, we have our assistant superintendent, Mr. Ortiz, and we also have Miss Doreen Finley. She is the assistant director at Parents Inc. And she's been with the agency for 18 years. So also with us today, before we get started, we want to thank Mr. James Earl, our superintendent, for his leadership, for his support, and his commitment to our school community. So we're just going to open up our conversation in regards to Parents Inc. and the Parents as Leaders workshop that we are launching next week. And that's why I invited Doreen here so she can talk a little bit about the history of Parents Anonymous and the work that's going to be done here in Trenton. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Doreen.
Good afternoon. I am so excited to be a part of this Trenton radio broadcast this afternoon. I'm also very excited that we will be working with the Trenton public school system. I am a graduate of the public school system, so I know how important it is to be engaged in the school system and also to have parents be engaged and not be strangers in this difficult season that we're in. We will be starting a parent leadership series of workshops for the parents in Trenton. What we're going to do first, our first workshop will be preventing parent burnout. These workshops are going to give parents the information that they need and also the tips that they could succeed in. They will know the symptoms of parent burnout. They would know when it's time to stop and when it's time to move forward. We will also get parents in the Trenton school system to be more friendly with the staff. They must engage with their principals and their parent liaisons and their children's teachers in order to have success. So what we're going to do with our parent leadership workshop is to give the parents a seat at the table and show them the strategies of a table and how to communicate with their teachers, how to engage in the Trenton PTA meetings, talk about what their children need, talk about what it feels like when children are not succeeding, and do it in a positive way, a healthy way. This is all about promoting healthy relationships within the public school system in Trenton so that our kids in Trenton can be successful and be good communicators. We will also have our third workshop, which will be our support groups. We're going to set up support groups in the public school where parents can get together, talk about the issues that are dealing with in and out of school, build relationships with other parents and also with the staff members at the school. We will be providing the parents in the Trenton school system with a 24-hour hotline, which has multiple languages that parents will be able to use. Also, this is an ongoing process. We are not going to leave the parents hanging. We will give them technical assistance on a monthly basis. We will call them, find out where they are, find out what they need. We will be giving them different information. We will be giving them information for their schools, their children. And this is just a wonderful opportunity. And I'm just so excited that Denise trusts Parents Inc. in providing this service. This is a evidence-based program, and I've seen it win. This is a winning program, and our hope is that it spreads throughout the system in this trying time, that parents can get together on Zoom and just be strengthened. Just know when to give their views about something, talk about if their children are not, getting this thing online, these courses, and, just being able to communicate and be a leader, be an advocate for their children and in their community.
Doreen, this is Wilfredo Ortiz, Assistant Superintendent. Thank you for being with us. I had a question, and maybe you could help us with how does a parent get involved? I mean, where do they sign up? Could you talk a little bit more about the process of
Yes.
the program, the process?
Well, Denise is spearheading it, and they have a registration link where parents can register for the program. And once we get the numbers that we agreed on, then we will stop registration. If this is something that needed to be done again and again, we are willing to do that. But Denise has a link for registration.
Yes, and I will share that in the Facebook page and here on the chat for anyone that joins us. And I will be monitoring the Facebook channel in case someone has a question in regard to the organization or how to sign up for parents as leaders. So far, I'm excited to announce that we have 84 parents that have signed up all together. So that's a blend of our English speaking and Spanish speaking parent population. So as Doreen mentioned, every Tuesday, starting January 25th, we will be meeting with parents. The first 3 segments will be with Parents Inc. And then the remaining 3 sessions will be with Horizon. So 9:30 from 12 o'clock are when the sessions will begin. And for those who have registered, they will receive the link. They will receive a phone call from Brenda Diaz, our Program Manager of Family and Community Outreach, welcoming them to signing up. And then just as a friendly reminder that they will be participating in our Parents as Leaders series. And they'll also receive a stipend. You want to talk about that? That's, I think, one of the most exciting pieces of this entire process.
Yes, each parent that comes to the workshop will receive a $50 stipend. And the parent that comes to the last workshop, which is the workshop which is going to set up the actual support group in the school system, will receive $100. And all of the parents will be invited to our annual celebration and be recognized at our annual parent leadership event. And we will recognize all parents that attend at this event. They would also receive a certificate stating that they are now professionally trained facilitators.
Do you want to also mention the conference that they'll be invited to?
Yes, that's the annual celebration. It will be virtual, and it will be Wednesday, February the 23rd at 10 a.m. And our guest speaker is Governor Murphy's wife, Tammy Murphy. She's going to be the keynote speaker at that event. All the parents who attend the workshops will attend this event, and they will all receive a certificate of recognition that they are now considered parent leaders in the Trenton Public School.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you've seen this since you've been with the organization for 18 years. You've seen it win. Can you elaborate on that? Can you talk a little bit more about the work that once they've received this workshop, what are the benefits? Like what's happening? What are the outcomes? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, as I said before, this is an evidence-based program. So this is how we know that it works through the research. And we see that parents are more socially inclined. There is a decline in negative behavior and discipline for their children. Once they start attending, their social development goes up. They're able to communicate and engage in different functions now. So those are some of the plus. We have had parents who have engaged in the program who are now speaking at our events. They are engaging other parents and telling parents how wonderful this program is. We have helped parents in the program get their children out of DCP&P with the support of the support groups, because they're talking about the issues, they're correcting the issues, and we support them in that way also.
And what are some of the things that parents can use the hotline for? So I'm really interested in that because you said it's available 24 hours. Like what types of questions can parents ask on this hotline?
What we're going to do with the parents that we're training, we're going to show them how to use the hotline. The first thing they need is a pen and a piece of paper. These resources are statewide. If they need information on childcare, if they need information on food banks, if they just need someone to listen to, if they need, if they're in trouble and they need a shelter, if they need help with their rent, if they need help with their PSE&G bill, on this line, they can get the connection and the information they need to get the support that they need. Statewide, I mean, okay, Ms. Ortiz has a question.
Yeah, so this sounds like an incredible organization, and the things that you're doing actually works very closely with our school goals, which is to create and to increase community engagement. That's one of our district goals. So this fits very perfectly in that, in what we're trying to accomplish with our community. Your organization, who's behind it? I know that you're there and there's people answering the phone. Do you have social workers or other individuals that are supporting you? How could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, what we have is trained listeners on our hotline. And that hotline is 24 hours. It's with trained professionals, also about 10 or 15 different language lines. So if the parent does not speak English, we have a Spanish line, a Haitian line, where they could get this information. And also we are backed by Department of Children and Family Services. Parents are in need of that services. We work directly with them to make sure that the parents are meeting those goals from these different agencies by giving them if it's curriculum that they need, we have active parenting that they can take. We can connect them with all of the services we have in the Trenton area where they can get any support that they need. I mean, this is Pampers, formula, clothes, in case of a fire, we have a resource for it and on our 24-hour hotline.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
It is.
This program is over 40 years old. It's a well-kept secret.
We want to put it out there.
Yeah.
We want our parents to know about it. We want our parents to use it. We certainly are living in a situation right now where we have a lot of homeless families. Denise can even talk to the fact that we have so many. The need is great, and
yes.
But we don't want our parents to feel that they're alone in this process, right? We really want them to feel like they are being supported, and in the district, we support them in the district through Denise and our school levels. We have counselors and social workers and parent liaisons that support them, but we also have to reach out to the community so that we can wrap our arms around the needs of our families. And thank you for doing such a great job, Denise. And
I just want to mention one more thing. Our motto is asking for help is a sign of strength.
Hey.
And our old-fashioned saying was, your mother told you whatever happens in this house stays in this house. And we know after 40 years of Parents Anonymous, we know that asking for help is a sign of strength. It can move you from where you are to where you want to be.
That's amazing. I love that. Look, can you repeat that one more time?
Asking for help is a sign of strength.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand how many times I'm with a parent and they feel ashamed. They feel like a failure. They feel like they're not doing enough. And, you know, just the fact that they're in the presence of somebody that can listen to them, they're doing something about their situation and they're not staying stuck and stagnant. So I applaud this organization because it's not an easy, it's a tall order to take on, you know, round the clock services. That's
Yeah.
literally round the clock, 365 days out of the year, 24-hour parent hotline. That's amazing. And I'm just glad that we're able to now access that information.
And especially during this time of COVID, you know, they're isolated. They need these support groups to get to talking again and, you know, trying to move forward into wherever they need to go. It's a very isolating time for everyone.
For sure. And what type of, I know you started to mention it, but what other support groups have parents created? Have they created like health groups or yoga, meditation? Like, I mean, what kind of groups? Because it's not just, you know, about, you know, curriculum based or a parent advisory group. Like what are some of the options that parents have?
There are so many. They can learn during the groups. We have health workshops where people come in and tell them about their health. We have financial literacy workshops where they can get a handle on how to save money, how to budget. We have mindfulness workshops where they are learning to breathe, learning to stop for a moment and regroup. So we're very in tune with mindfulness. There's a workshop and a group for, say, parents with children with special needs, autism. You know, parents have built out a lot of different groups for kids with behavioral, you know, mental health. We are in a variety of places. We're in the Mercer County Family Success Organizations, and we connect with the family support organizations. So if people are having different issues, we can certainly connect them to where they need to go to get that direct service that they need.
That's fantastic. So just to repeat one more time for anyone that's joining late, our Parents as Leaders series is starting virtually Tuesday, January 25th for our English speakers and Thursday, January 27th for our bilingual Spanish speaking parents. There will be 3 sessions with Parents Anonymous, and that'll be consecutive every Tuesday for English speaker, every Thursday for our Spanish speaking population. The registration link will be available on Facebook. You could also visit our Parent Connect site on our school district webpage, and then under parent trainings, you will find the registration link for the program. So do you have any other questions, Mr. Ortiz?
Okay. Yes, we are looking forward to celebrating the parents in the Trenton Public School on February the 23rd. They will be amongst hundreds of parents statewide like themselves that they can connect with, listen to the stories, and just be empowered. So we're very excited about that. We will be sending you the registration link from Eventbrite where they can all sign up.
Awesome. So a question just came in. Is there a goal to expand this Parents as Leaders? I know that we have 3 set up. Is there an opportunity to add additional sessions for our parents?
Yes, that's our goal, to band all the schools together in Trenton so we can empower them. We have to empower each school in order to get the success. We just need the leadership in the school like yourself, Denise, to point us in those directions.
Awesome. And what are some other opportunities that parents could have through your organization? Because I remember, learning about your organization in a few health fairs and other conferences. But when Brenda Diaz began working in my department, she mentioned that she volunteers for parents. And do you want to talk a little bit about the volunteerism and what that's about?
Yes, we have volunteers, and what we have the parents to do is to start volunteering first at their local level. Say if there's a city hall meeting, we'll ask the parents to go in and sit in the meeting. They don't have to say anything, they just have to sit and listen. We have different statewide events where we ask parents to go because they need to be in the room so they can learn about what's going on in their community and in the state. We have them to also to do interviews if they want to work. I mean, we have internships where this can lead actually to employment for parents, where parents can come, volunteer, and then do one of our programs where they volunteer and then they can become employable. We give them a resume. The parent facilitation comes with the job description. So that is something that they can put inside of a resume while they're volunteering.
That's
They can
fantastic.
speak. Brenda became a speaker. We put her on panels. We really love to put parents on panels within the Trenton area so they can learn about what's going on. And, we give them that in that support group, one of those workshops to find their seat at the table, because we all know that there's certain power seats and we want to begin to help the parents in Trenton.
And do you encourage parents to go to Board of Education meetings as well?
Yes, board education meetings, community meetings, all sorts of meetings. If we can get a calendar of what's going on in the Trenton school system, we will put parents in those meetings. We'll say, okay, there's a meeting this day. We send them the invite and let them show up. Definitely, that's the only way they're going to begin to be engaged in the public school system.
So Doreen, we are doing a series of workshops, 3 that Denise is working with you on, and she's mentioned those on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if a parent wanted to reach out to you, to your organization, is there a number they can call, or besides this, the link, is there some other ways of communicating or connecting with you or
Okay.
the organization?
Yes. We do have a number that they can call. And we also, what we really want to do is, if they're interested in the program or the support groups, we want them to contact Denise or Brenda, whoever's running it in the system, and so that they can get in that group that way. If they want more information, they can call our 1-800 number.
Okay.
100 the kids is our actual hotline number.
Can you repeat that? 800.
The kids.
THEKIDS.
KIDS, yes.
The kids. Very good.
Awesome. All right, so we're just waiting for Mr. Trueheart to jump in so that we can jump into our next segment. Are there any announcements that you have that you want to make, Mr. Ortiz?
Right now, we're good. I think we've made our announcements earlier. Nothing right now. I'm just glad to say that we're back full-time in person. Very important that our parents know that we're not doing virtual, that students need to be in the classroom, following all the COVID protocols. Please make sure that your children, you have the ability to keep them home if they're not well, if they're feeling sick, if they have a fever, if they're coughing, we better let them stay at home. But if they're feeling well, then you need to send them to school, because that's a safe place for them. The city sent out, there was something regarding getting COVID tests so that parents can actually go online and put in their names and telephone numbers. There's a link for that. We might be able to send them the link a little bit later.
Yeah, they can purchase, well, not purchase, they'll ship them free COVID-19 rapid tests.
A set of
Right.
4, and there is a link for that. And I'm gonna see if I can get Denise.
Yeah, actually, Doreen shared that earlier
Right.
today, so I'll forward that to you. I have it, and I'll put it on the Facebook chat.
We'll put it.
Right.
Okay. Other than that,
And it's already hot. They can just go right in, put their information in, get their confirmation, and get their 4 kits sent to their homes. So they have that link. We got the link this morning, and I sent it right away to Denise.
Awesome.
And if parents, if you know parents out there, or people out there that don't have access to a computer and and they need some assistance, let them know. They can come to central office, and we'll help them to get onto the website and order the test. We can do that as well.
Yes, yes. And then is the COVID-19 site on West State Street, is that open for families, or just is that in district?
Wednesday, yes. On Wednesdays, we're open for the district. It's more for district personnel that work in the district and work for our students. However, we don't turn, I don't want to open it up, right? But we don't turn people away. If someone comes in and needs to get tested, we do what we can to support them.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Doreen, thank you so much for sharing all this wonderful information. I'm excited for what's to come for our parents, and I'm just so interested to see what types of groups are formed, and seeing the presence of parents at more board meetings and other advisory groups and PTOs is going to be fantastic.
Yes, and I will be there to support them, Denise, victory is mine, and I want the parents in Trenton to have the same type of victory. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So
Okay.
I see that Mr. Trueheart is live in the flesh with us. Welcome, welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Trueheart, so you can introduce our second half of the program.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Doreen Finley. I was on Facebook as I was picking up my son from track practice, Trenton Central High School, 11th grader there. And I heard all the great news that you shared with our community and the questions that Mr. Wilfredo Ortiz and Denise Crease have had. I'm looking forward to this parent training, leadership training. It's so very, very important to our community. And something that's going to help us to accomplish our strategic planning goals for our district, our 5-year strategic plan. So thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back on to share the great news of success that we're going to have with our parent leadership training that you have put together for us in partnership with the district. So thank you so much, Doreen.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. I'm excited to be a part of the system. I'm a student from a public school system, so I know about public school. I love public school. There's nothing like a public school education.
Amen. Thank you so much. But you know what, man? We've got a great friend of mine, Bruce Boyd, who from Boyd Building Our Youth Development, who has partnered with our district. Doreen, I'm not sure if you know Bruce, but actually everyone knows Bruce. Bruce Boyd is Doreen Finley, Bruce Boyd, and you guys should hook up because Bruce is in his heart for students, for parents, and for really building leadership skills in our district with our students and our parents. And he's been doing this for how many years now, boy? 15 years?
Actually, we're running up on 19 years.
19, oh my God. I shortchanged it for, no way. 19 years, oh my goodness. So, so our next segment is in regards to Bruce Boyd and Boyd Building on Youth Development and this partnership with the district and doing training with our students and facilitating and mentoring with our students in our school district. He's over at the 9th grade academy doing some great work. I had the opportunity to go to one of the first sessions there and got a chance to, of course, to meet with the principal, Dewar Wood, doing a great job over there at Topanga. The teacher in the classroom and the students, well-behaved, well-mannered. Bruce has a definitely command of the classroom. I think you probably should have been in the teaching profession, Bruce, the way you're handling the class and the kids, how they're interacting with you. Over when I was there and seeing the Facebook posts and all the great news that you shared and how you direct the kids and involve them in communicating with you in terms of the moderating and training that you're doing. So can you share with us a little bit about Boyd and the work that you're doing with the Trenton School District in partnership with us. I appreciate you and I love you, brother. But thank you for coming on board and taking your time out of your schedule. He has a busy schedule working with our student. And so I thank you for the time that you shared with us this afternoon on our broadcast today. Bruce?
Thank you so much, Gerald, for allowing me to be here today. It is a pleasure to talk about what we've been doing over the course of 19 years, all going on 20 years, starting in Trenton. I first want to introduce myself as a former student, a graduate of former student, right? So I started kindergarten at Jefferson School when it was on Brunswick Avenue. I then went to Junior 2, which is now Hedgepeth, and then graduating from Trenton High School in class of 89, moving up to Mercer County Community College and right into the workforce. Retired from the state of New Jersey after 33 years of working with the state of New Jersey, and been doing this work at first as a volunteer, and then as a parent liaison, and then as a contractor. So my heart has always been given back to the city that made me who I am today. You know, great teachers, great guidance counselors. One of the best I've always talked about is someone by the name of Beverly Trueheart. She saved my life, you know, she saved my life. And it was people like her along the way that helped me, that gave me the spirit to save another life or to give a hand to someone else that looked just like me. So I've been holding that torch and I'm waiting to pass the torch along to someone else. But until that time, we are going to keep toiling the soil and getting some great fruit from the Trenton Public School District.
Awesome, Bruce. Share some of the work over at Tanga.
So, okay. So yeah, we started during the pandemic, we went virtual with some programs. And one of the programs, which is the Hero program, was picked up by JJC. And we contracted with the state and we worked with students on probation and students on probation. And then we had another cohort of just young boys who, we had a learn to earn program. So we gave them a book and said, listen, you can earn up to $500 after 10 weeks of coming to this book club, and we do different cahoots and everything else. And there's an opportunity for you to earn $500. So during the pandemic, we got young people to read books, and we would pay them, to read those books. And we didn't want them to just get brain frozen and stuck. So we came up with this program and the community responded. They were sending in donations to me so that I could keep the program going and make sure that I had the money in place for the young people who joined. So that book, that program from that book club, it turned into the Hero program. It's a social emotional program. The acronym HERO, let me get it because I mess it up all the time these days. The acronym is HERO, standing for honesty, empathy, respect, and open-mindedness. So those are the core values of this program. And the book itself, you probably can't see it, but the book itself is called the Hero Code book. Can you guys still hear me? Yes?
We can hear you, but your camera's off.
Okay, let me go back. Okay, and that book is by Admiral William H. McRaven. He's a new, retired U.S. Navy man, and it was just a pleasure to read the stories. And in his book, The Hero Code, he talks about everyday people doing things, doing heroic things. And so what I gained from that was that so often we tell our young people to aspire to be somebody else, right? Aspire to do this. And they want to aspire. I want to be the next Jordan. I want to be the next Stephen Curry. I want to do this. I want to be the next. But, we tell them to be a number one themselves, not a number two somebody else. And the hero, once we go through that book, they will identify the characteristics of a hero through themselves. So the only person that can save them is not Bruce Boyd, but themselves, So we want them to see themselves as heroes and not as, one of them things used to be growing up, be a hero, not a zero. Well, we want them to be heroes, and we want them to understand that they are heroes. They just haven't been given the tools to assess their hero characteristics. And so that's what this program is all about. It's interwoven with different videos. It's interwoven with, we play cahoots to keep it very interactive. And it also allows me to see if who's reading and who's not reading. And so, at the end of the Kahoot itself, the top point person gets $500. But during the course of the 10-week program, some students will get $50, $100, because what I understand is simply this. I call this professional development for children, right? Teachers, administrators, they go to these professional developments, and I heard Doreen talk about parents now getting stipends, but what about the children? They, I don't want them, and I tell them, I don't come in with a grade book. In education, they keep talking about growth mindsets, but yet parents, teachers, and children are fixated on grades. And I tell them, that's a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. When you're thinking about, well, what grade did I get? What grade did I get? And so I posed the question to them all the time. I said, if a teacher never told you or showed you a grade, and every time you turn something in, they tell you good job, would you believe you're smart? So they would believe they're smart, but when they see grades, they doubt their own intelligence. And the grade, I keep trying to tell young people, the grade is not indicative of how smart or how intelligent you are, or how, how they say stupid or dumb. I say it's just a grade to say how hard you worked, So we have to start to change the language. And I go in with no grade book. I said, I don't have a grade book for you, but what I do have is incentives. What I do have is money. And so in the course of 2 weeks over at Tanga, I start getting young people to stand up. I heard Doreen talk about how we have to teach our older parents, because public speaking is a hard thing. And it's only hard because you haven't done it. And until you get in the practice of doing it and doing it and doing it, you become better and better and more confident. And that's where that hero code comes from. So as we call it standing in the square. And I have young people will write something. And I said, okay, you wrote it. Now get up and talk. Oh, I'm not getting up in front of anyone and talk about it, but it's your words. So the second week in Tanga, a young lady didn't want to get up, but when she did get up and afterwards, I said, you know what? You earned $25. And after that, guess what? There were other people who was willing to get up and conquer the fear of public speaking, because there was a carrot, an instant carrot right there for them.
Hey, Boyd, I'm gonna come over and stand in the square for $25.
Oh no, I can only give you a quarter. You're seasoned.
So Bruce,
Yeah, give it to a kid.
So it's a 10-week program at Tanga. The program is at Tanga, and how do the students get involved with it? How are they identified by the school counselor? You identify them. Who identifies the student? How does the student get involved with that?
The students were identified by the school counselor, the vice principal, and the principal. And then there were some who saw the notices that were going up about the Hero program, and there were some self-volunteer students that came on board.
Do they come after school, during school? What's the time frame?
It's during school, and it's during one of those social emotional periods that they have.
So it's built-in. The school actually had a built-in social emotional piece.
Yes.
That's all sketching. That's a good schedule. They were able to do that. Okay.
Yes.
How many students do you target during that 10-week?
We're targeting, we have about 20 students.
Like a class?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's awesome to see the young people go from being so afraid to do something to, you see the light bulbs go off in their heads and they start thinking and they start saying, hey, and as Gerald said, they're engaged. That's the piece. They're engaged. So when you're engaged in something, you're paying attention. So my classroom management is really based on how I deliver the message and how I tell the stories to our young people. So it's relatable. One thing that I pride myself on, especially in Trenton, is, I grew up in a what society would say a broken home, right? So I understood that. I grew up in the projects. I understood that we moved out of the projects. My father lived in the house on the west side of town. My mother lived in the projects on the north side of town, and my grandmother lived in a house in Wilbur section. So that's how, when you look at, well, how did he get from Jefferson in the north side to Wilbur section to, those type of things took place. So when I tell people where I walk through these schools and I walk through these neighborhoods, I'm relatable. And so when the district buys into a program that's relatable, it only helps our children, because some of their parents I know, some of their grandparents I know. And so it's a win-win for the students and for the district when they buy into a program that is homegrown. Not too often that happens.
I remember being in the classroom, Bruce. Remember being in the classroom, and the WAR was in the classroom, the teacher was in the classroom, and the WAR was interacting, you were interacting. And what really struck me as a positive note was how the students engaged with your questions. And they actually, at some point, sometimes they would challenge. Not challenge in a disrespectful way, right? But challenge in a respectful way the concept that you might have been teaching at that time, because they may not have understood at that moment the point that you were making about that lesson. But after they begin to challenge and question and get a better knowledge and understanding from you relating back and forth with them, it was give and take. And it was a very great conversation with the students. They begin to have aha moments, like, oh, that's what that's about.
Yes.
And I forget what actually, can you explain or describe what project you worked on? It was a
project, right.
How was that on the board that you were working on?
So it was one of the first projects that I do. It's a brain teaser. It's the 9 dots. You put 9 dots in a box on the board, and you tell them you need to make 5 lines that are connected that will touch all 9 dots. And as they start to think about it, I can't give it away. I won't give it away here, but they start to think that is impossible to do. However, it is possible, and that part of it is when you think outside of the box. And so often Nicki Minaj has this song about Fly, and she says people paint their pictures and they crop me in. So many times as adults, we paint pictures of our young people and we crop them into what we believe, and that's that stereotype process. But I want, and then young people do the same thing. And so one of the questions I ask is, who's the smartest person in the room? And that's how I get to understand, right? They don't, but they look around and they don't look at themselves as the smartest person in the room. Because they're thinking about their grades. They look and say, well, who answers all the questions all the time, or who gets those kudos all the time? That's the person. And that person that they're pointing to or thinking of, that person won't even raise their hand. And so we have to build that back in and say, you know what? You're with yourself 24 hours a day. If you don't think you're smart, if you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, no one else will. If you don't think that you have it, no one else will believe in you. So you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else. You know, you have to be your own cheerleader. And so that's why I try to move them from that fixated mindset to an actual growth mindset, you know, and it takes time because they've been programmed so much by society, by the media, by the news, by the music that they listen to, that they're supposed to walk a certain way, talk a certain way. And then when I come in with a bow tie on and a suit, and it's like, you're telling me what now? I'm supposed to do what? And so it's the old adage of Dr. Carter G. Woodson. I live by his teachings, and just saying, you know, how he says, when you control a man's brain, you don't have to worry about that person. So they've been so remotely controlled by other things that so many people don't worry about their actions. They already know what they're going to do, you know? So when we explain that to them and then they start to see, and that's all about in the hero code, that's one of the lessons, are you remotely controlled? And so, and the question with that is simply, how many times did you blame somebody else for something that you did, right? They push my buttons. Well, why did you give them that control? They make me, well, why are they making you sick? You know, you start to question them, and then, you know, everybody wants to be a boss until you get caught up in something, and then it's somebody else's fault, right? So you make them accountable and understand that don't allow somebody to push your buttons. I bring in for that lesson, I bring in a controller, a game, Xbox controller, PS4 controller, remote control, and I asked them, well, what happens? What happens? So I asked them, are you the one holding this device, or are you the one in the screen? That if I push X, you're going to kick, you know, if I push Y, you're going to yell out, you know. So I say, well, which one do you really want to be? You know, so don't allow someone to push your buttons to get to have you make an action that you're going to regret later, you know, because that person's not going to get in trouble for it. You are. So understanding some of those tools, they put them in their tool belt and make more conscious decisions, and don't allow their friends, their environment to control them, but take control of their lives.
You must have some experiences with some of the students where they're beginning to use those tools in that toolkit, in that tool belt, right? So as you've been at Tanga and other schools in the district, and specifically at Tanga doing the Hero program, what are some of the examples of students where they've actually reached into that toolbox or reached into that belt and pulled out a tool that you've taught them over the last couple of weeks or so, where the light went off in their head, the mindset shift took place, and they're beginning to recognize and realize that they can make a choice, that no one has to push their button, that they can make a choice based on their values. What kind of experiences can you share about the students and your experience at Tanga?
So the immediate aha moment is when we meet up. I would ask, who wants to read? right? Who wants to read their piece, or who wants to volunteer, And first week, no one wanted to volunteer. By the third week, now I'm in a dilemma because now I got to pick out of 15 hands going up, because now they all want to volunteer. They all want to, and that's a good thing. They all want to express themselves. Like, I wrote this, y'all going to hear this, And so we would spend the first 10, 15 minutes just listening. And that's a part of me teaching as well, is to listen. So as I listen to what they're saying, and then, like you said, there'll be other conversations going on, right? So now, because this person said this, it sparks a thought in someone else who may have been feeling the same way, or just a little bit had a difference of opinion. And it's not a fight. It's not name calling. It's really getting into a nice debate where everyone is learning from everyone else. And that's the thing that I like about my teaching style, and giving young people an opportunity. I said there are no wrongs. When you start a sentence with "I feel," no one can dispute how you feel, right? So when they start that "I feel" statement, there's no wrong in how you feel, but we can turn it to let you see, like you said, let you see that maybe there's a different way to look at this. And it's not always what you think it is, but it's a different way to look at it. So that's the immediate thing. The second thing is when we play the Kahoots, and I was expecting the young people, because it was based on a conversation I had, a 45-minute conversation. So I built the Kahoot around a 45-minute conversation, and the next week, they get on that Kahoot and I start asking the questions, and as they were competing, they see who's first, second, third, and oh man, they're just getting it. And that first Kahoot, no one scored under an 80 out of 12 questions. No one scored under 80. We had a couple people that scored 100, and it was just on them listening from the previous week. And I was just shocked and amazed, like, wow. So it let me know that they were taking it in. It wasn't going in, as we said, you're going in one ear, going out the other. No, it went in that one ear and it stayed for that week, right? It stayed because they were responding. So that's the engagement piece that I love, because once you show it to them the first time, the next time I'm not just talking, they're taking notes, and they're going back and they're revisiting that, because Mr. Boyd's gonna come in and I might get an opportunity to earn $50 if I get this right. And it's based on, and I give them Amazon cards so they can go buy stuff from Amazon, and they love it. It's just a win-win situation all around.
Yeah, I remember my time at volunteering at Granville Academy, and that goes back many, many years. And when I got out of college and came back to Trenton area around in the late 80s, early 90s, in the late 90s, even into the 2000s, when Granville Academy was around. That model was a great model around financial literacy. And I remember going up to like Bristol Myers Squibb and ETS and other corporations with students and teaching lessons, and how once we begin to get into the flow of teaching, and they begin into the flow of that conversation back and forth, and the aha moments that go off, and the writing the notes, and their interactions and the conversations that we had, it was rewarding not only to me but to the students as well. So I hear that in your heart as you speak about your experience in your teaching, and also the experiences that you're having with the students. It brought back a memory of my teaching at Granville, and this is wonderful to get to have that feeling that you can touch the lives or touch the life of a young person in such a way that they begin to understand and have not only have the knowledge, but begin to understand and connect the dots that they can do great work and they can do great things if they put their mind to it and put their heart in it and put forth the effort. And you're always there to support them. You're always there to answer their questions. And I get that sense from Boyd that you have that same similar impact on students, not only students, but impact on parents. If you impact the students, you're going to definitely impact the parents. The parents will come and say, what you do to my son? What? What
So
happened?
that's funny you say that. That's how we started our Boyd Parent Academy. When we started out 2003, we started at PJ Hill School under the leadership of Addie Daniels Lane. And we were teaching young people about financial literacy. We were teaching them about, not going to the check cashing place, but actually going to the bank, not buying a Benz and you're living in the projects, but buying something more affordable, things like that, about smoking and all these different things. And young people were going home and it was one of those things where they had to start to look at their parents, right? And they were, well, Mr. Boyd said that you shouldn't be doing this. Mr. Boyd said you shouldn't be doing that. Mr. Boyd said, Mom, do you got a bank account? So parents would come up to the school after school, and they wanted to talk to Mr. Boyd about what I was telling their children. And so we sat down. My wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she's a teacher in the school district, Natasha Boyd. And we sat down with Mr. Dennis and Miss Lane, and we start talking about, so how can we affect the child holistically, right? Because we can't be sending one message, they're getting another message from the ones that they love, and now they're in turmoil, like what's right, what's not right. And so we developed the Boyd Parent Academy. So once a month, those students that were in the program, we would have a night where their parents would come in, we would have dinner, and we would talk about all of the things that we were giving their children, to the point where Miss Lane, we had a partnership with Yarville National Bank, that we created a bank within the school. So having a bank within the school, it just opened up a whole nother can of enrichment, because now parents, our young people were learning how to fill out deposit slips. Some kids go their whole lives and they don't even get a checking account or any account until they go off to college or until they get their first job, and they don't know how to do these things. We were teaching that to fifth graders. Fifth graders were lining up, putting 25 cents, and Yarville National Bank was had matching funds. So it was another win-win. And eventually the entire school got into that process. Twice a month, the Yarville National Bank would come into the school, and kindergartners all the way up, they were K through 5 at that point. They were all being able to participate in the banking program. So, you can't always talk about don't go to the check cashing place. Well, what's the alternative? Let us teach you about banking, right? And that was what we started there, and those are some of the still some of the cores to what we like to bring to schools.
Thank you, Bruce. Hey, just some closing comments from Wilfredo and Denise and Doreen. Doreen joined us, continued to join us. Thank you so much, Doreen. We'll start with Doreen, then we'll go to Denise and close out with Wilfredo. Then Doreen.
I just want to say this was a very healthy conversation, and looks like 2022 is going to be a new year for the public school in Trenton this year, because we got some folks who are going to come in and do some new things. So I'm excited, and I'm glad to have met Mr. Boyd and yourself and the superintendent. This has been a great conversation, and I'm hoping this is not the last time we speak.
Only the beginning. So I'm just excited because it's just about building partnerships. So who knows what is in store for the future, because Mr. Boyd's program seems evolutionary. It keeps changing and growing. And, this year with his mentorship program, and then it's just, tagging along with other community partners just to continue that expansion, to build on self-confidence, conflict resolution skills. He mentioned honesty, empathy, respect. And I think empathy is a huge, huge one that is always overlooked and missed, because although I may not have gone through the same background that Mr. Boyd or you went through in your history, that doesn't mean that I can't feel your pain. That doesn't mean that I can't grasp an understanding of what happened in your situation. So that's where empathy really comes in. And I really enjoyed that hero concept, and just talking about everyday people doing heroic things, because I feel like that's a little bit of my job every day. And the work that we're doing, because there's self-gratification in the work, and especially when you're in the social service field or the education field, and not everyone will see what you're doing. So thank you for bringing these programs in, and sky's the limit as to what we can do down the road. So thank you so much.
Very quickly, I ditto everything that has been said. I want to send a shout out to the public out there. I had the privilege of participating this Saturday in the C 2022 commemorative breakfast, Martin Luther King, and it was an incredible opportunity. And listening to you, to both of you, Mr. Boyd and Denise, I just feel really happy that great things are happening in the city of Trenton. And a shout out to our very own Gerald Trueheart, who was honored on Saturday. And now you can see why. And just want to say to the community out there, reach out to these community individuals. They care about you and they want to support you. And so, as we do in the public schools in Trenton.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Bruce Boyd, for joining us this afternoon. Your busy schedule. We had a conversation about the schedule, and I know you're very, very busy, but you took the time to come and share with us on our Trenton TV radio broadcast. Thank you so much, Bruce Boyd, of Boyd, Building Our Youth Development. Thank you, Doreen Finley, a Parent Anonymous, for our first segment and the great work that you're doing and continue to do, and the work that you're going to be doing in our district with our parents and leadership and training. I appreciate all the work that you're doing in that area. Thank you both for being on our broadcast today. And Denise Crease, our co-host of Trenton TV radio broadcast. Thank you so much, Denise. Wilfredo Ortiz, the backbone of what we do here in the city of Trenton in terms of school support and engagement. I appreciate you and all the work that you're doing, and your support, not only of the TV radio broadcast, but your support over the years that I've known you. I've known you as long as I've been on the board, I believe. And we've been working toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder along the way. And I appreciate all the work that you've been doing with us and building us up to greater greatness in our district. So everyone, have a great night. We'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless everyone.